Welcome to CINEMATICON Ex Mortis, the horror movie discussion podcast hosted by Kenny and
Heather.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't even remember what a podcast is.
Yeah, we've just been busy, I guess. I don't know. I feel like this one is mostly on you, Heather.
Okay, well, thanks. I thought we were a team, but sure.
I mean, I watched. So we should say what movie we're watching. We're gonna discuss Lake Mungo from 2008 today. And I watched this. It feels like a month ago or something.
In 2008.
Yeah, I saw it when it came out, and we've been putting the podcast together ever since.
Well, I've been sick, so there's that, and I'm still sick, so cut me some slack.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we're doing Lake Mungo. I'll let the listeners at home in on some basic facts about the film. So this film received a limited theatrical release in 2008. It's an Australian mockumentary. It was written and directed by Joel Anderson, and it stars Talia Zucker and Rose Traynor, with a score by David Patterson. And I'll jump into a little plot summary here. But first I will say, spoiler alert, and I think we both would recommend this. I don't know. I know I would. What about you, Heather?
Would I recommend it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to be scared to death, absolutely.
Okay, so you heard it from both of us. This is a real scary-ass movie, and I enjoy it a lot. So I really recommend people go out and watch this. I know this is a lesser-known film, but that's part of the reason that I wanted to watch it for the podcast, is to try to get more people to watch it, because I think it's great. So with that out of the way, here's the plot summary for those of you who are not going to take my advice and go watch it and just want to listen to the rest of the podcast, or maybe you put it on pause and now you've watched it and have come back. Okay, so the film documents the strange aftermath of the drowning death of Alice Palmer and the psychological toll it takes on her surviving family, parents June and Russell, and brother Matthew. As Alice's family members hear inexplicable noises at night and have nightmares in which she returns to the house as a corpse, her image begins appearing in photographs and video footage captured after her death. A series of revelations gradually emerge, including that Alice had had a sexual relationship with the Palmers' adult neighbors, and that the paranormal images of Alice were faked by Matthew in an attempt to comfort his parents. Things continue to get weirder as the Palmers learn that Alice may have had a premonition of her own death while on a school trip to Lake Mungo. Okay, so that's the plot summary that I wrote there. So one reason I wanted to do this movie is that, as far as I can tell, it pretty much has a subgenre all to itself, which is pretty rare. And that subgenre would be horror mockumentary. And when people hear mockumentary, I think a lot of times, because it has mock in it, people think it's necessarily a comedy. And a lot of the most famous ones are like This Is Spinal Tap. But this is not a comedy at all. It probably has less humor in it than maybe any other film that we've done.
Definitely.
And yeah, it doesn't have a lot of levity at all. But it's a mockumentary in the sense of just being a fake documentary. And people might be saying at home, hey, Kenny and Heather, there are lots of horror mockumentaries. There's Blair Witch Project and Paranormal Activity and so forth. So those are found footage horror films. The difference is that this one plays out much more like a real documentary, where most of the film is composed of interviews with the subjects of the story, who describe what happened to them in retrospect. And it only occasionally includes clips from video footage supposedly captured at the time of the events described. So, yeah, I mean, it's kind of like, I don't know. Is there an example outside of horror that you can think of to compare this to? Like for somebody who hasn't seen this film, like how would you describe it? Like what kind of movie that people have heard of kind of plays out the same way? Even something like this is Spinal Tap, I feel like is more in the present tense than this one.
Yeah, I really can't think of anything that this is similar to, and I think that that's a strength for this movie. So it's just extremely unique.
Yeah. The thing I guess that seems closest to me is like one of those like a TV documentary
It sort
or
of is similar in setup to like Behind the Music almost, like a VH1 special.
hmm.
Do you know what I mean with all
I
the
was thinking more like one of those like cold case crime documentaries on TV where somebody has died in suspicious circumstances and they go and interview people and they go through the case and all the
Sure.
evidence and look at potential suspects and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's more like that. Like that's kind of the format. So what do you think, Heather? Do you think that given the story that's told in this film, that this was a good format to tell it in?
I really didn't think so at first. I was kind of like annoyed with it. I was like, this is boring. But I think it definitely becomes apparent pretty early on that it's a strength for this film because it makes it more realistic. Does that make sense? It's like,
It's very grounded for a ghost movie.
I think because it's so realistic and the paranormal aspect is kind of muted, it makes it
Hmm.
more realistic and therefore it scares you way more than like a regular horror movie.
Yeah, I definitely could see that because nothing that happens in this is. I mean, as you get towards the end, things start getting like weirder and weirder, which they should.
Hmm.
But um, yeah, in a typical horror movie about ghosts and spirits and stuff, the stuff that's happening is like so far beyond anything that you even read about in like the supposedly true stories of like the Amityville house
Hmm.
or anything like that. Like you compare like the stuff that the family actually said happened in the house at Amityville to the stuff that happens in the movie. It's like they crank everything up by a factor of 10. Whereas here, yeah, it's like much more believable, I guess.
Yes, exactly. There's something very eerie and haunting about the way that it's set up.
Hmm.
Things are kind of grainy, like footage wise, and that sort of makes it creepier. It's just there's this really believable quality about everything because they don't do anything over the top.
Yeah,
It's very, I don't know. It's just everything that scares me. I'm most terrified of ghosts out of anything that terrifies me, and this movie was like just terrible in that aspect. Like it's just I had to sleep with the lights on.
yeah. I think I had trouble sleeping after watching it. It's been so long that I've kind of forgotten what my initial reaction was. But definitely the first time that I watched it, it scared the crap out of me. I had this film recommended to me by some random person that uh I it was an acquaintance, I think, and knew that I liked horror movies and was like, "Oh, have you seen Lake Mungo?" And I was like, "Lake Mungo," um, and my mind just instantly went to Lake Placid, the movie about the killer giant alligator.
See, that's what I was kind of expecting. I was expecting some kind of swamp monster.
Yeah, me too.
Even though you told me that it was a misleading title, I then like I'm afraid of anything that lives in murky waters, so I was like, "Oh, like for some reason when you said it's a misleading title, I felt better." I'm like, "Oh, okay, good." No.
Yeah. So it sounded like shit to me, and so I was like, okay, well, I threw it on my Netflix queue, which is like 100 movies long, because I'll watch anything, but
That's for sure.
I'll watch it in like 10 years when it comes up on my Netflix queue,
Mhm.
and so then like 10 years later, when I watched it, um, long after I'd even forgotten who recommended it to me,
Oh, wow.
I was like, holy shit, this movie is amazing. It's so good. And the title is so bad. Like, it's so misleading.
Yeah.
Because it makes it seem like it's like this campy B movie. And it's really classy. Like, it's really just a well-made mockumentary. And it has a lot of like beautiful shots in it. Like, they find ways to work in these really kind of painterly shots when they do kind of like, they got interview footage and then they'll sort of intercut between the talking heads and just footage of the camera tracking through the location that's being talked about, say like the house of the Palmers or something. And those shots are just like, they're really haunting and they look great. And I don't know, it's just so well made and it's so original. And then I finally got it on DVD to do the podcast, and the DVD looks like shit too. This film was just really, it was done dirty by the marketing, and just, I don't know, they succeeded in making a great film, but then it's remained this like really obscure cult classic, I think, because got a limited release. It's an Australian film, so
some great accents.
They have accents, but I don't even
like,
know if this came out in the US
like
at the
ever?
time. Yeah, I don't know if it got a US theatrical release, maybe just a very limited one in some art house theaters. And then the DVD, that there's no Blu-ray release, and the DVD has this gross logo going all the way down the side that says After Dark Horror Fest 4.
What does that mean?
8 films to die for.
What?
And it has that on the spine too. 8 films to die for in giant letters. After Dark Horror Fest 4. Ooh. So I guess it was released as part of a series of 8 like indie horror films that got released on this imprint, After Dark Horror Fest 4. So maybe there were 3 previous sets of 8 films that were released under this. I don't know why, but I mean, it makes it look like one of those like when you go to Best Buy and you have those like packs of like,
it's like 40 films for $3.99.
Exactly. And you're like, oh boy, this is shit.
Yeah, you kind of expect the quality to be absolute garbage.
Yeah, and it is
usually.
But
so that's
sad. This is a real diamond in the rough.
Well, that's nice that you're giving it its credit.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I accept your thanks on behalf of Lake Mungo. And the people who worked on it are really like still unknown. Like I listed them off at the beginning of the episode, and I'm sure like no one has heard of any of them. If you look on their like Wikipedia and IMDb pages, there's like almost nothing outside of this one movie. So that's something that happens sometimes in the horror genre, is that some group of apparently talented people get together to make a classic, and then they just kind of go off and don't do anything else. Some of the best films in the genre are made by unknowns.
That's sad.
Yeah. Like, I don't know, another one I can think of is Carnival of Souls from the 60s. That's a classic horror film that was made by the director's name, Herc Harvey. And he did nothing else. He did like a bunch of commercial films, like industrial film. And that's it.
That's sad.
Yeah, but it's kind of neat too,
I guess.
So I guess we should talk about the movie. So I guess we'll start with like how scary it is. We both found it very scary.
I wish I'd been a little bit warned about what was gonna happen, because that shit fucked me up.
Yeah,
I was nuts. I pretty much watched it like between my fingers. I was like, oh no, this is like the worst case scenario.
But
Oh
if I
God.
warned you, you wouldn't have watched it
No,
probably.
I wouldn't have. I was trapped. This was a trap. Anyway, continue.
So what were some scenes or elements that you found scary?
Oh, man. Okay, so I think the first thing that really unsettled me was the shot of her in, like, when they got her out of the water
Oh yeah.
and she's like just so fucking scary looking. You know,
She's
her corpse.
yeah, when Alice's drowned body is found and
Mhm.
the dad has to identify the body.
Yeah, that was like the first thing that just stuck with me. That shot of her. There's just something so eerie about it. Just like the colors and her facial expression. And I feel like her fingers were kind of curled in a really creepy way. She
Hmm.
just it's it's a lot. So for sure that was the first time that I was like, oh, okay. So terrifying then. All right, got it. Because before that I was like, because I went into this with no expectations. I didn't know what kind of movie it was or what it was about. I don't think I even read a description. So
Which
I
is how you should see any movie, I think.
it's very rare for me. I usually read reviews and synopsis and, you know, probably spoilers if I'm going to be honest, because I just, I take fiction very seriously. You know how it is.
Hmm.
So this was going in blind like this was a very unique experience for me. Um, and
And
it
one that you'll never repeat.
probably not a good first try. Um, so yeah, that's the
It does
first
get a
time.
slow start.
It does. So I was just like, wait, what? I'm like, how is. Yeah, it's really confusing if you don't know what you're going into.
Well, I mean, the opening titles do have like the old grainy photos of weird stuff like ghosts and stuff,
Hmm.
right? So I think that gives you a little entree into the subject matter of the film, at least.
I guess. Still never know.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know that the shot of the corpse, I guess, didn't scare me too much. Um, what got me was when they start showing uh, photographs and video footage
Hmm.
from after Alice's death, where you can supposedly see her in the
Mm.
footage or in the photo. Um, and a lot of these, it turns out, are faked, or I guess all of them were either. It turns out that it was somebody else in the footage, um, or it was the brother Matthew who was an aspiring photographer and had access to a photo lab and who kind of faked this stuff for mysterious reasons. I guess he knew his parents wanted to uh, keep looking for Alice and not give up on her, and so he did that. So
Hmm.
it's weird. It's like this stuff, it creeps you out, and then you kind of feel relieved later on the film when you find out that it was a hoax.
Hmm.
Um, but those shots are just so unsettling to me, where you can just sort of make out a grainy image or something.
Yes. When you have to like
Um,
zoom in,
mm-hmm.
that
Yeah.
zooming in effect is. Ugh.
Yeah, and it's also like it's presented in such a calm and like clinical way. Um, like the actors are never like hyperventilating or getting emotional.
Hmm.
They for them it's been months and years since this happened, and they're able to talk about it calmly. And the filmmaking too is like very sedate, I guess. There's not quick cuts, there's no jump scare or anything like that. The score doesn't, I mean, the score I think is fantastic and it's really unsettling, but it's like very like a low drone kind of thing. um And yeah, so it's really effective at getting under your skin without feeling manipulative.
Right. Yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I think the other thing that makes that stuff so scary to me is I guess it connects to like why ghosts are scary to begin with. And to me it's like the fear of the unknown, or like of not just the unknown but like something that you can't quite be sure about. This sort of like creeping sense of uncertainty,
Mm-hmm.
which to me it makes me think of like the uncanny valley. Do you know what that is?
No.
So it's kind of this neat thing that came about with the rise of animation technology and imaging technology. So there was this study where they show people pictures that represent human beings, and the pictures were sort of on a scale from not very close at all to looking like a person. So like a stick figure doesn't really, it's not going to fool you into thinking it's a person.
Mm-hmm.
And then more and more realistic until you get to the most realistic, was just like a picture of an actual person.
Mm-hmm.
And they ask the subjects to rate like how positively or negatively they feel about these images. And the hypothesis was like, well, people like it more the more it looks like a person.
Mm-hmm.
And you do find that up to a point. So like people like a cartoon image of a person better than the stick figure. They like the little more more realistic cartoon better than the less realistic cartoon. But then as you start to get to like a certain point where it's really realistic, but there's still something wrong with the proportions, and so you can kind of tell that it's not an actual person, then the rating goes from like, I really like this, to I hate it, burn it with fire, it needs to die. Like, I do not want to look at this, I'm very uncomfortable. And that's called the uncanny valley. So it's this like valley in the graph, like, so the graph is going up and then it just goes, and then when you get to like a picture of an actual person, then it goes back up.
Right.
So there's this dip where it's like, we do not want to see things that are in this range. So, and certain movies supposedly have sort of accidentally fallen into the uncanny valley, like famously Polar Express.
Oh no.
With Tom Hanks, and it's like a all CG movie, but they mocapped all the actors and they tried to make them look as real as possible. And a lot of audiences found that film to be like very unsettling, which it's not a horror movie. It's not trying to be.
Mm-hmm. I can see that though. I definitely get that.
And I think that this film is kind of like, it's preying on that same part of your brain that doesn't like those kind of images. And I think the reason you don't like it is because you look at it and your brain is kind of split between, is this a person or is it not, right? And your brain is so wired on a fundamental level to recognize human faces and study them very closely, so you can tell like how this person's feeling and what they're likely to do, and that it really wants to see human faces all over the place. It's sort of wired to look for that pattern and then react to it in a certain way. And when you see something that's close but your brain can tell that it's not quite there, you get into this space of uncertainty that's really unnerving for a human being. Mm-hmm. And I think the graininess of the photographs and the video footage in this, where we're kind of experiencing something similar when we're looking at images that we're told might be of Alice, who is a dead person. It might be her ghost or something, and we can't quite make out what it is. I think that is like just creepy as hell. Like, that's really effective.
And this has been Psychology with Kenny.
Oh yeah, that's another problem with the DVD case. I'm going to bitch about this some more.
Oh my god.
Is the image that's on the DVD case is like it's a woman we've got her sort of her head and the upper part of her torso, like down to like where her boobies would be, but they're cut off.
Jesus.
And
Do you mean
uh,
you mean like
no, not like with a knife.
right? There you
Like
go.
instead of seeing anything below like her shoulders, it just turns into like water. That's like spewing around. So it's like she's sort of like turned into the water from the bottom up, and she's in the middle of transforming into water, I guess.
Okay.
And she's kind of like throwing her hair back, and she's got her mouth open, like either she's screaming or she's going like ah. And the title Lake Mungo is like in her hair. It looks to me like an ad for shampoo.
Okay.
And
so
it's
basically
stupid.
their entire PR department was just like college dropouts.
Yeah, like this movie it got pooped out into the world and just left for dead.
Sad.
But if you look on like Wikipedia or you look on Google for the poster for the movie, that is great. They should have used that, obviously. And it's this grainy image of Alice. So whoever made the poster knew what was up. That's a scary thing. The grainy images, the creeping uncertainty. For my money.
Maybe someone's like nephew needed a job or something.
I just don't think they had the funds, you know? I think they probably shopped this movie around all over the place and couldn't find a distributor, or the distributor that they found, you know, couldn't afford to show it in many theaters. And then when it came time for home video, the only thing they could get was this After Dark Horror Fest 4 that wanted to release it. Another thing that's interesting about the movie to me is, I mean, as a mockumentary, it's kind of inherently metafictional. So, did you get a sense that the film was trying to say something about the documentary genre or paranormal documentaries?
Do you mean like because most, if not everything, was faked?
I mean, yeah, I think that's part of it. Yeah. Like,
I mean, I didn't pick up on any sort of like commentary, but you know, that's not my strong suit. But I could see that, sure.
yeah, I mean, when we find out that Matthew has faked the footage that we've been looking at, I don't know, it kind of strikes me that the movie is in a way training us to be more skeptical about this kind of media. That's not the end of the movie though, right? Like you kind of want the movie to be over, and then it's like, no, of course, there's another twist of the knife. Like it turns out that there was some paranormal stuff going on. It's just he was doing that in addition. But I think that's a kind of a neat thing that the film kind of shows you how it's made and how other, you know, real documentaries of this kind, or quote unquote real documentaries of this kind, are made. I don't know, in a way you could say like it makes it less scary because it reminds us about how this stuff is a bunch of nonsense, but it also kind of just leaves you more in that sense, that state that we were talking about of uncertainty and skepticism. And we're having to watch all this stuff, but we can't really ever say exactly what is going on.
Well, I think part of what makes the movie so scary is because it sort of tricks you into this false sense of security. Like, oh, look, it's all fake. And then it's like, oh, no, it's not. And then you're like, oh, no. You know? Like, you
Yeah.
kind of felt better. And then that sort of, you know, because you went so high, now you have a lower low. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So.
So that kind of leads into the next question that I had, which was about like the the plot twists. Um, it occurred to me watching the film that it kind of has like a repetitive structure, and I don't know what else they could have done really, but like you kind of have like a round of interviews with the various characters. They'll get their reactions to the most recent thing that happened, and then there will be some new like revelation, right? Like something else comes out in the case that overturns what people thought they knew. So they Alice went missing, and then they found the body, and then surprise, she shows up in a photo, and then surprise, it was fake, and then surprise, the next thing happens. Like it's revealed that Alice had a relationship with the neighbors, and everybody reacts to that. So, I guess we're in agreement that like the revelation that the photos were faked, and then kind of pulling the rug out from under us, those were some really effective twists. How did you feel about the other sort of plot twists?
Like the fact that she was in a relationship with the neighbors.
Yeah.
I feel like the movie kind of needs those plot twists.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like we've said, it's very kind of everyone is in such a calm state, and there's no hysteria. It kind of needs that extra drama so that it evens out.
Yeah, I feel like if this story were told as a like a traditional film outside of the documentary genre, it would have to have a totally different plot.
Yeah.
Right? Because like in a normal film, the characters are pushing the action forward, right? Like they would be investigating Alice's death, and they would discover the clues that led to the next thing, as opposed to stuff just sort of coming out or happening to the family, which I feel like is more what happens in the documentary. And it's kind of a change in like a difference in genre. I think like the documentary genre has this structure. Maybe just because like life kind of has that structure. Like, I don't know. I've been thinking about this quite a bit lately. How life often doesn't have the structure of a fictional story, where you have like, I don't know, stories are so much more eventful than actual life. Like you spend years just doing the same repetitive thing over and over.
Oh, well, that's uplifting.
And usually when things happen, I mean, I don't know. I guess there are extraordinary people that are go-getters and do things with their lives, but for me, I just sit around,
Okay, but
and sometimes stuff happens to me.
that's not really fair, because you are working on your PhD, and that has to be your complete focus. You don't get to have a life right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and I guess that's kind of what I mean. Like that's something that's what I'm doing right now in my life story. But I've been doing that same thing for like 7 years.
Yeah. Yep.
So that would be pretty boring if it was a movie.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just think in general, like traditional fiction films afford the main characters a lot more agency in their own stories than people tend to actually have. Like people's lives tend to be much more determined by the things that happen around them and to them than, a series of choices that they made.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I don't know. A lot of crazy stuff happens to me.
Is there more to this movie than just being scary? Did you find it evoke any other emotions or?
Well, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of family dynamic stuff going on. And
Like what?
well, the mother and the daughter relationship, like I don't know. It's really sad that during Alice's life, she and her mom didn't really get along that well, but her mom took it so hard when she died, and really really wanted to see her, and really wanted to believe she was still like around, and I don't know. There's a lot of stuff
And
there.
she realizes like how little they really understood each other, how little
Mhm.
they knew each other, as you find out more about what Alice was up to.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that like Alice had like all these secrets that she didn't tell anybody, and like how, you really never know anyone completely, stuff like
Hmm.
that.
You know what made me relate to it is uh this is I guess personal story time at
Ooh,
Cinematicon Ex Mortis.
finally.
Um I had a I had a cat named Nemo
Oh.
who disappeared. Kind of like Alice in the movie. We never, well, he didn't drown. But there's kind of a period in the film, right, where they she just goes missing and they don't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with Nemo. He just disappeared. He didn't come home one day, and still no idea what happened to him. And for a long time, we were going out like every day looking for him, putting up posters, going through all that stuff that you do. And at night, so during the day, there's a lot of noise and stuff, and we kept thinking like maybe he's up in a tree, or hurt somewhere, and he's like meowing and we can't hear him.
Mm.
And so, but in the day you kind of can't hear because there's so much ambient noise. But at night it's a lot quieter. So, sometimes I would just kind of like walk through the house and then like go out onto the front yard and kind of walk around and be listening really closely to try to hear that. And sometimes you do, sometimes you hear a little ghostly meow. Um,
Mm.
and it's just, or you think you do, and it's just your brain kind of, you're listening for a specific thing, and in among the ambient noise of the night, um, there are there's this kind of like randomness, right? And your brain tries to process that in a way that will get you the desired outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, so I feel like that's something that a lot of people can relate to, when they've lost somebody, uh, not necessarily a cat, and
Sometimes cats, though.
sometimes cats or dogs or people, they go missing or they die, and
Mm-hmm.
you have this intense desire to reunite with them. And so that's probably one of the main sources of ghost sightings and paranormal experience is just people. It can be that you're like scared, and so you're anticipating being scared, and so you scare yourself. But I think probably more often it's people who really want to see the quote unquote ghost. They want to still be able to connect with the missing person in some way. And so they see a shadow or whatever, and they kind of unconsciously spin that into what they want it to be.
Yeah. It's like that fill in the gap thing.
The fill in the gap thing?
Yeah, you know how your brain will like, if you see a picture that's not finished, it'll kind of finish it for you. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about?
Yeah, but it's like a lot sadder.
Yes, it's a lot sadder.
um,
Yeah, I was thinking about that when you were talking about like a lot of ghost movies. It's like, oh, we moved into this house and it's haunted, but there's not a lot of movies that are like, oh, our family member died and now we're being haunted by that family member. It adds
right.
like a layer of loss and sadness to it that's, I don't know. I guess it's even more eerie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's scary to us, but I think that's part of why the characters aren't, like we said, they're
Hmm.
not hysterical.
Right.
They don't show signs of fear really, because to them it's not something they're afraid of.
Hmm.
They
They
want
want
to,
to be haunted by her.
yeah,
Hmm.
they want to know what happened to her.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that's kind of neat.
It is. It's also devastating.
I guess we could talk about the ending of the film. The film gets pretty weird at the end because um where the title comes in is that Alice went on a school trip to Lake Mungo, which is a real place in Australia. It's a dry lake, so it used to be a lake like millions of years ago, but now it's just a big depression in the ground.
Mhm.
And I guess, I don't know, if you're Australian, you can tell us in the comments whether you guys actually go visit Lake Mungo on occasion in a school trip type situation, but that's what happens in the movie. And while she was there, she had a vision where she sees, I think, her own corpse.
Mhm.
Is that how you interpreted that?
Yeah. Yeah.
So after that point, she started seeing this like paranormal psychologist, hypnotist guy that the family ends up going to after her death, and having sessions with him where she would describe the dreams that she was having. And in her dreams, she's returning to her house the same way that she does as a spirit after being drowned. And she's kind of looking upon her family members in a like ghostly form. So basically she like pre-experienced the events of her death and her afterlife while she was alive, and that's what made her start behaving so strangely in the last months of her life.
Yeah.
Um,
Makes sense to
and
me.
yeah, okay. To me, it's a very odd direction for the story to take. It's
Oh,
not something I'd seen in a lot of other movies or stories.
well, I like that they did that. That's another one of those unique things about this film.
Yeah,
It's kind of a plot twist.
it is a plot twist. Um, and I guess it kind of works in the end. It echoes some earlier motifs in the film. So I think there are a lot of like doubles and repetitions in the film.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so, for instance, Alice's mother talks about how she had kind of a similarly strained relationship with her mother growing up.
Mm-hmm.
So Alice is like a double of her mother. And then there's the scene early in the film that I really like where they go to the morgue to identify the body, and then the car kind of craps out on the way back. And so the only way they can get it to work is to drive in reverse. So they drive in reverse down this deserted road for like 20 miles till they get home.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like it's a random detail. It doesn't really connect to the plot, but I think it has like kind of symbolic significance, right? That they're they're going backward. They're sort of being pulled back into the past from this point where Alice dies, and they see her in the morgue. They're kind of not being able to go forward in their lives. Um, so I don't know. So I kind of like the doubling, the sort of recursiveness of the fact that Alice sees her own ghost, even though I don't know, it doesn't really make logical sense, but it sort of makes symbolic sense in a way.
Well, I'm like majorly into the paranormal, as you're very well, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a lot of stories that date back hundreds of years where I can't think of any where someone saw their own ghost, but I can think of some where people saw a ghost of a loved one before they died. Like, um, close to their death, but not after. Like, you know, it was impending, and they were like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And then like a couple days later, that person would die. So
Interesting.
that kind of exists in like ghost lore. So, you know, I'm familiar with it, but not quite in that flavor.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean it's a like a folklore motif is the omen, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
something
Right.
that presages some terrible tragedy to come. some weird supernatural thing will happen before, which I guess is another way in which this is kind of odd, is that although chronologically this is like one of the first things that happens in the story, the omen is like the last thing that we see, right? Like this is the last thing that's revealed, and so the family kind of finds out at the end how it all started. So again, it's like this like circle kind of structure.
Yes. I think it's good where it is.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I don't know. I guess the reason I like it too is like ghosts, I think, are part of how we deal with like the strangeness of time in our culture, and how people and things from the past that we thought were behind us can still keep popping up, and affecting the present. And sometimes it can seem like time is going the wrong way, that we're being sucked back into the past, that we sort of helplessly repeat the same actions and can't break out of certain cycles of behavior. So yeah, I like that like weird circularity of the plot.
Totally.
Before we get to the very end, is there anything else you wanted to talk about?
Yeah, I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
So you don't believe in ghosts?
Correct.
Like at all?
Mm-hmm.
And we've spoken at length for many years back and forth about like ghosts exist versus no they don't. You're insane. So why does this movie scare you so much if you do not believe in ghosts whatsoever?
Yeah, that is a kind of paradox, right? Like this, the scariest horror movies to me are ghost movies and like demonic possession type movies. They're supernatural things, which, yeah, it's odd because obviously there's no such thing as ghosts or demons or
obviously
monsters. Whereas serial killers are a thing. A serial killer could absolutely kidnap me and torture me and cut me in half. That could totally happen. It's very unlikely, but the probability is definitely not zero. Whereas, the probability of encountering a real life ghost is zero. So why be scared of the one? And I think I've sort of analyzed myself, and I think the reason is more that I'm not really scared of something terrible happening to me. I'm scared of being scared.
Explain.
Like I'm scared of, looking in the mirror and seeing, something standing behind me and then turning around and it's not there. Something like that. Like that those moments in a ghost movie where you get spooked. That's what I'm scared of. I'm scared of the uncertainty. Coming back to that, I'm scared of the unknown, I guess.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's the scariest thing in existence.
But I fully acknowledge that it's irrational.
I think it
makes more sense to be scared of a serial killer or something like that.
I think there's something deep down inside of you that thinks, but what if? I think so. I think there's like a 0.01% of you that thinks that it might be true.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was raised religious. So, for many years when I was a kid, I would sit in bed and think about hell and the possibility of going there, and I actually used to sit and think like, oh my God, what if when I get older, I get all skeptical and I renounce my faith and I don't believe in this anymore, then I'll die and go to hell. Like that could happen. Because in the religion, as long as you have faith, you're fine.
Right. That's how they get you.
But how do you know that you'll stay the same person that you were as a kid and not become skeptical and not change your faith and end up in hell. So that scared the hell out of me when I was a kid.
Yeah, same.
And ironically, it's come to pass.
Right.
That now I am going to hell.
Well, you'll be in
But I
good
really don't think
company.
I'm scared of that.
I think,
At
well,
all.
see, I was raised religious as well, as you know. And there's still parts of me that are traumatized. And still there's that little tiny voice that's like, but what if you are going to hell and you're going to be tortured for all eternity? Like, they got their claws in me real good. So,
Yeah.
ugh. I think that's probably maybe why we're both afraid of possessions so much because of the religious background.
I don't know. I really only find those movies scary when they function like a ghost movie, like Paranormal Activity.
I've never seen it and I'm not going to, and you can't make me.
Okay, well, we probably will eventually watch it, but
We'll
uh,
see.
I'll just say for now, like, it's not a movie about a person who's possessed going blah, 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 and spinning her head around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's about a demon haunting a family, and so it makes bumps in the night and knocks things off tables and stuff like that. Like, and I think that's the kind of stuff that scares me. If it's like manifest as a physical thing, it doesn't scare me. It's if it has like a physical presence, and I guess that's what it is, right? It's like if I imagine in my mind being attacked by a serial killer or a giant alligator or something, I imagine what I would do, right? And again, it's completely irrational because in reality, what I would do is die. I would just get killed. But in your imagination, it's very easy to imagine, oh, I would like grab something sharp and I would stab him, or I would run into the other room. I would close the door. I would barricade it. You can imagine all the stuff that you would do to get out of that situation and to combat whatever scary thing it is. If it's something that has like a physical form. But if it's a ghost, like if you see a ghost, like what do you do then? It doesn't have, there's nothing to attack, it's just, a noise or something, a door shutting itself or something. And it's like, what the fuck do I do with that?
Right.
That's, I think, what makes it so much scarier to me, is it wouldn't be scarier if I was in that situation. If, a guy with a chainsaw is really chasing me, I'm scared. Like, I would definitely be scared. But just imagining that scenario is not scary because your brain just goes to the next thing that you would do in that situation. Whereas that's kind of blocked off when it comes to something supernatural. I guess we should close off by talking about the end credits. We usually don't talk about the end credits of the films that we
I almost
watch.
didn't watch them.
Oh, yeah?
I almost turned it off.
Because you just thought, oh, the movie's
Yeah,
over?
I thought it was over, and then it started doing the thing, and I was like, oh no. It's not over.
No, so in the end credits, basically, we see a montage of the photographs that we were shown earlier that Matthew had edited to add in Alice, and it was just an image of her from before her death that was like blurred up and put into the corner of the image or whatever. And except now, the camera zooms into a different part of the photo, and we can see the ghostly Alice was there in the photo to begin with. Somehow Matthew didn't see that while he was doctoring the photographs. And I don't know what you think. I think this might be the most effective end credits sequence in any horror film. It's so creepy and unsettling.
Yeah, I read your note about that, and I thought about it, and I literally can't think of anything that's even remotely close to this. It's borderline the scariest part of the movie.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, it sticks with you, that's for sure. Those pictures are, it's the zooming thing again. Oh, don't zoom in. Don't do it. Oh, and she's like
Yeah.
standing in the window. Oh
Hmm.
God, no, 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 sir.
Yeah, and there's no loud noise. There's nothing manipulative about it. It's slow, it's methodical, and it's just horrifying.
Yeah, it is.
So, yeah, I guess that's our review of Lake Mungo. Watch it if you dare.
Or don't.
Or
I'm
don't.
just kidding. You should do it.
Yeah, you totally should.
If you like being scared, you should watch the movie.
I agree. And oh shit, we forgot to decide what we're gonna watch for next time.
Oh, is it my choice?
Yeah, it's your choice. So
should we actually do Creature for the Black Lagoon this time and do an actual swamp monster?
oh, that's a great idea.
Okay.
Okay, so we had a lake this time,
Mhm.
and next time we will see a lagoon, Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Which actually goes with its title.
Yeah, so if you're afraid of ghosts, and we maybe tricked you this time, and you hate us forever, please trust us. It's just a silly gill man. There's no ghost.
That's right.
And we'll see you then.
Bye.